Good morning, everyone. I'm out here at a local park here in the Royal Oak area, Kwikset Park. Several acres, I don't know, can't remember exactly how many acres, but very wooded, as you can see. And I'm out here just for a morning walk. It's a beautiful, beautiful morning, about 69, 70 degrees right now, and very quiet. You know, I've been wanting to do a kind of a series of videos about really in response to a couple of comments that I've had on a few of my videos, and also in response to a video that I watched recently of a older retired couple that now live in their RV full-time. They're on the road all the time. I'll leave a link below to their channel because I can't remember the channel name, but they were talking about how they were parked at an RV park, and at one point somebody else that was parked in the RV park that was camping there, and they have a big RV, big motorhome actually, and they were just sitting inside their motorhome one day, and this young man came up and threatened them and said, "I'm going to kill you." And they felt very unsafe there. Now they did the wise thing, and they eventually left and found a different RV park to camp at. So these couple of things prompted me to make a series of videos about how I stay safe in the woods, in the forest when I'm camping. I've been camping for 49 years now, ever since I got my driver's license and was able to drive. I had a old Dodge Dart, and I drove that thing all over the place. Me and a couple of friends, my brother and another friend of mine, we went camping all over the place, all around the East Coast, all around Michigan, up into the Upper Peninsula, all over the place. So, you know, one thing is the first thing that we have to do to protect ourselves, because, you know, we do protect ourselves from things when we go camping. We bring mosquito repellent, right? We might bring tick repellent. We might have bear spray. There's a lot of dangers in the woods, from little tiny ticks to bears, cougars, mountain lions, all kind of things that could potentially pose a danger to us, even snakes. So the first thing that we want to do is be cognizant of where we're camping. Here in Michigan, there's different places you can camp. There's Michigan state parks. A lot of them are beautiful. They're very packed in the summertime especially. From my experience, they're more kind of party areas, although they do have a family-oriented theme, but anybody can camp there. They're always busy. A lot of people stay up late, and it's rarely quiet, except like very late at night, maybe midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. And then we have national parks. We actually have 3 national parks in Michigan. One is an island called Isle Royale, which is up in the Upper Peninsula on Lake Superior. So you have to actually take a plane in there. I believe they have a boat that takes you out there. That is definitely wilderness camping, wild camping. So I've never been up there myself, but there are moose on the island and other animals too that you have to be aware of. So you have to be prepared for that, right? The camping there is designated campsites, and, you know, just because of the remote nature of it, I think it's pretty safe. My sister has camped there before, and she felt safe. Then we have Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore, which is again part of our national park system, and they have campgrounds that you can drive into, car camp in, and they also have wild camping, backcountry camping. Now, I've camped at both, and Abby and I have been backpacking there many times. As a matter of fact, I've been backpacking there just about every year since 1981, with the exception of a couple of years. So the backcountry sites are pretty safe as well. And, you know, you just have to be aware that, you know, there could be other people that come through there and day hike. The campsites, most of the campsites are on Lake Superior, so a lot of people do go out there to day hike, and there are small backcountry sites that only hold like six tents. So there's not a lot of people there. And most of the people, from my experience, have been friendly, have been quiet at night, have not really posed any danger. And the third national park here in Michigan, of course, is Sleeping Bear Dunes National Lakeshore on Lake Michigan. And there are some backcountry sites. I've never been there before, but they do have two drive-in campsites that are part of the National Park Service. And those are very family-oriented. I've camped at both many times, and they're very family-oriented, so not much of a risk of human intervention, which is probably the biggest threat when we're out in nature like this. And the other way that we can camp in Michigan, well, there's two really other ways. The other way is that you can camp in state forest campgrounds. And I found that state forest campgrounds are not patrolled regularly. I've never seen police cars, state police, local police drive through any state forest campground that I've ever been at. And since they are more remote, I have camped at a lot of these campsites before where young people come and party, and you know, when we get drunk and party, it can be very dangerous for us. So, and then the last final way that you can camp in Michigan, as I'm sure you can in other states, other areas around our beautiful country, is here in Michigan you can camp any place on state forest land or national forest land within parameters. You can't be too close to a road, things like that. But, and that's kind of dispersed camping. You can really camp any place. So, you know, they all pose risks. Now, I have been only had close calls where I felt in danger a handful of times in the 49 years that I've camped. And I'll tell you about them, and then I'll conclude this video. And then the next video, I'll talk more about, you know, what I do to protect myself when I'm out in the woods. And the main thing we have to pay attention to is the environment that we're going into. We want to go into a place where we feel safe, right? Wherever we're at, whether in a state park, camping with a bunch of other people, dispersed camping, or primitive camping, you know, backcountry camping. We want to feel safe. We want to enjoy the nature that we've come out into. So, and you know, if we're not feeling safe, then we're not going to enjoy it. We're going to be more worried about our own safety. So, you know, so that's the first thing. We have to pay attention to the environment we're going into and find a place where we feel comfortable. So I've been in 3 or 4 situations where I've been feeling like I've been in danger. And the first situation goes back a long time ago when I was a father, a young man. My children were very small. I think my daughter was 1, my son was 3 or 4. And we were on our way out to New York in a pop-up camper that we owned at the time. We're heading out to Maine, actually. And we were on I-90, the thruway through New York State. And we decided to pull over. So my wife found on a map at the time, because this was early 90s, she found a map for a local county campground. So we pulled in there. I think we were the only ones there, and we set up camp. And later on in the evening, somebody pulled up right next to us, a group of young men, very rowdy, drinking beer all night, and just didn't have any regard for our privacy. And we thought it was weird that they pulled up right next to us when this whole county campground was you know, unoccupied. So I was a little nervous. They didn't really bother us except for the noise, but you know, I was up all night very worried, and I really didn't have much to defend myself anyway. I wasn't thinking like that back then. The other altercation, well, not really altercation, but situation that we had was when I was at a state forest campground with Abby, and we were camped at a particular site close to the Platte River, a beautiful area, and we went for a walk around this little state forest campground. There's only like 30 sites, and we came across this site that was just trashed. There was like 2 or 3 tents, garbage all over the place. There was nobody around when we walked by it, but later in the evening, we could hear them off in the distance. And they weren't really disturbing, but the people just made a lot of noise, and we were actually worried that there was a group of people there that were doing drugs, and you know, it was another situation where I was a little uncomfortable and nervous. Still didn't at the time didn't have much to protect myself. I had a pocket knife, things like that. And the other time that I felt unsafe, goes back to the mid-90s when me and 2 other friends of mine, my brother and another friend of mine, were up in the Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore backpacking on Lake Superior. And we were just camping up there. We had a really nice time. We had a nice campsite. It was a beautiful day. And in the late afternoon, 2 people came walking into the campsite areas, and they just looked like criminals to us. Now, I know that's kind of judging, but they looked suspicious. And now, you have to understand that at the time we were camping there is a designated backcountry campsite, and there are designated spaces where you're supposed to set up your tent. So they set up their tent not in one of those designated areas. They set it right up on this bluff overlooking Lake Superior. And we knew that they weren't doing the right thing, but we were kind of a little bit leery about approaching them and saying anything. So they set up their tent, they left their gear there, and they disappeared the rest of the day. Later in the late afternoon, maybe early evening, at the time the National Park police would drive up and down the lakeshore in a boat, and they happened to see that tent up on the bluff, so they pulled up into the shore, and they started asking people, including ourselves, if anybody knew who that tent belonged to, and nobody knew anything about the people. We just told them that they had, you know, went for a hike, walked away, and they stayed there. They hung out there for about an hour, waiting to see if anybody was going to come back. They walked around the area, and they actually ended up taking the tent down, taking most of their gear. They left a couple of things, including a tarp, and they put it all in this big plastic bag, put it in their boat, left a note on a tree near where they were at, and they took off. And the note said, "You're camping illegally. If you want your gear, come to the National Park office." So those people came back eventually very late at night, and it had started to rain. And they came back while it was raining, and they didn't disturb us or anything, but again, me and my brother and my buddy, and we were, you know, young, we were probably in our mid-20s at the time. But again, we just had like usual stuff, a pocket knife. I think I did have a straight edge knife at the time, but we were very uncomfortable that night and a little bit nervous because you know, we didn't know what they were going to do. How are they going to stay out there or hike away at night? It's very dark there. So we got up in the morning, and we did see that they were actually sleeping on the ground with their tarp over the top of themselves. And when they got up, they left everything there and just walked away. We never seen them again. So, you know, that's about as close as I've ever been to being afraid for myself in the forest. But you know, we know today that we're afraid not only of people in the forest, but people in the city, where it's much more likely that you're going to run into somebody that is shady, that might want to rob you. I'll close this video out now, and in the next video, I will talk about what I do today when Abby and I go camping, or even when I'm solo camping, what I take with me to protect myself, not only from wild animals, not only from ticks, mosquitoes, snakes, different things. So I'll walk you through those things in the next video. The final thing I did want to say, though, is that, you know, it's always wise for us to be situationally aware. Whether you're in the forest, you can be aware of people around you. The same thing in the city. You know, we want to be aware of what's going on around us. We don't want to always have our face planted in our phones. You know, because in the past, many times I've been looking at my phone or daydreaming when I'm walking, and literally someone walks right by me. I had no idea that they were coming up behind me. So today I practice situational awareness. Maybe in another video I'll talk about that. I think that's one of the first things that we want to do, is be situationally aware, what the environment is around us. When you go through a campground, look around at the people, the environment that you're intending to camp in. All right, my friends, I hope this was helpful to you. I'm going to continue on with my walk. Have an awesome day. I'll see you on the next one. Please make sure to be good human beings. It's always good for us to be good human beings. Be a good example to your community around you. Be helpful and useful to other people. Have a beautiful day, my friends. Thank you for joining. Bye-bye.